It's no secret that the state of the modern running back has been in limbo. Offenses rely more heavily on the pass, and durability concerns have forced teams to let go of their backfield aces rather than re-sign them to much-deserved contracts. But 2024 helped counter those narratives, with an Offensive Player of the Year campaign from 2K Say, Derrick Henry dominating far beyond his expiration date, and breakouts from young stars like Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Bucky Irving. In 2025, that trend has continued, but this time, there's another back leading the charge. The Colts are one of the best teams in football, and Jonathan Taylor is a big reason why. Indy's lead back is on track to surpass his 2021 best. There may have been some bumps along the way. At one point, it looked like he would never play another game in a Colts jersey, let alone return to his all-pro form. But in 2025, it is a perfect storm for JT. An elite passing attack, plenty other weapons around him, and of course, a steady O-line. There's simply no stopping him. It's time to confront the fact that 2025 Jonathan Taylor is a force of nature that the rest of the NFL never wanted to see. Now, if you ever watched Taylor play for the Wisconsin Badgers, you would know full well that his potential as a star NFL running back never should have been in doubt. Actually, I should say anyone who ever caught a glimpse of a Wisconsin game between 2017 and 2019 knew this guy was special. He led the Big Ten in rush attempts as a true freshman, which was his only season where he finished with less than 2,000 rushing yards. His sophomore and junior year, Taylor was an All-American, finishing his career with more games of 200-plus rushing yards than he had double-digit rushing games. His 26 total touchdowns in 2019 led all of college football, which, for all intents and purposes, should have made Taylor an irresistible prospect when he declared for the 2020 NFL Draft. His size and speed, paired with the sheer production, was impossible to deny. Instead, for the first and certainly not last time, JT's efforts went unappreciated. Durability. That damn durability. After all, the guy had 968 touches in 3 seasons in college, and was fairly limited as a receiver. How much tread is left on those tires was a common question asked with regards to Taylor. He had to watch LSU's Clyde Edwards-Helaire become the only running back picked in the first round, with DeAndre Swift off the board 3 picks into day 2. Just 6 picks later, the Colts took Taylor, perhaps the most significant selection the franchise has made in the draft in the past 10 years. Colts Director of Player Personnel Kevin Rogers explained the pick succinctly.
We sit in the draft room and discussions we have. A lot of times, the tipping point is, hey, do you want to play with this guy or against this guy? And I mean, there's no doubt we wouldn't want to play against that guy for the next 10 years.
And it still rings true 5 years later. Nick Sirianni was the Colts offensive coordinator at the time, and it's safe to say he was hyped that Taylor had fallen right into their lap. And Sirianni was absolutely justified, considering the fact that the rookie hit the ground running and looked like great value at the top of the second. Taylor ran for over 1,100 yards and 11 scores, although that total was largely helped by a monster 253-yard performance on the final day of the season. Taylor even grabbed a score in his playoff debut against the Bills, and although Indy lost on the night, they clearly had a bright future on offense with Taylor and his draft classmate Michael Pittman Jr. on their side. Nothing could have quite prepared them for what Taylor had in store for 2021 though, as the sophomore back led the league with his 1,811 rushing yards for 18 scores, finishing runner-up in Offensive Player of the Year voting only to Cooper Kupp. For a 9-8 Colts team, Taylor was a revelation. Everything he touched turned to gold. Even with the shift from Phillip Rivers to Carson Wentz under center, Taylor was still an all-pro fixture of this team. That was, until Indy's worst-case scenario was realized. Not only did they start 3 different QBs throughout the 2022 season, but Jonathan Taylor missed the first games of his NFL career. An unspecified ankle injury kept him out of 2 games early, before his season was finally cut short by a high ankle sprain in Week 15, as the Colts managed just 4 wins on the year. Now, his status as a second-round pick became more consequential than ever before. and it had nothing to do with pride or him being underappreciated. For all of the magic this guy could conjure up on the field, cold, hard math almost killed his Colts career. The absence of a fifth-year option on his contract meant that beyond the upcoming 2023 season, Taylor had no guarantee of a future with the Colts organization. For an all-pro player, that usually means their front office starts scrambling to sign them to an extension. But not for a running back.
Dalvin Cook's situation and, Saquon and everything, does it feel like running backs are kind of fighting to be recognized for their value?
They definitely are, and it's sad. It sucks because a lot of positions do a lot for their team, but specifically speaking for the running back position, I can just speak firsthand. We do a lot, and you just want to be treated fairly, and not even treated fairly. You just want to be, appreciated for what you bring to the team. It's never about yourself, it's about the team. So what do you bring to the team? So, just seeing guys fight, you just hope that things work out for them. I mean, you see why guys, they request trades, they want, they just want to feel valued by not only their coaches, their teammates, but the organization as well. And I think it's something you got to continue to do.
After all, the tread on his tires that made him fall to round 2 was arguably part of the reason he missed a total of 6 games in 2022. Choosing not to entertain Taylor's terms for an extension was simply seen as part of the business by many in the media.
And the Colts are probably being very prudent by saying, look, we want to see how your ankle is. You got banged up. Are you a great running back? Yes. He was a second-round draft pick. But the Colts are probably going, well, Dalvin Cook's out there and Zeke Elliott. We'll use a second-round draft pick next year. I mean, this is the thought process. As much as we want to go, you should be getting $13 to $16 million. Yes, but he's disposable. He just is because of that position.
Such is the life of a running back. But Taylor refused to be disrespected as such or go underappreciated by the NFL once again, and promptly took matters into his own hands.
The big news first, then I will explain. Sources say Jonathan Taylor, the all-pro running back for the Indianapolis Colts, has formally requested a trade from the Colts. This after meeting with Colts owner Jim Irsay on his bus, really right next to the field. A somewhat dramatic scene here.
Colts owner Jim Irsay responded by publicly stating, "If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor is out of the league, no one's gonna miss us. The league goes on. We know that. The National Football League rolls on. It doesn't matter who comes and who goes, and it's a privilege to be a part of it." Now, he may have a point, but that doesn't change the fact that Indy was on the precipice of fumbling a generational talent.
At this point in time, they are willing to listen. That is notable, and now we'll see with the regular season under 3 weeks away if the two sides can figure out a way to get a deal done, the Colts and another team, but teams obviously are mulling what to offer the Colts to make a Jonathan Taylor trade happen.
And this whole circus only stood to benefit the Colts' adversaries. The media frenzy around the team created even bigger questions around how 4th overall pick Anthony Richardson would perform at QB without one of the Colts' most important offensive weapons. Taylor's holdout was squandering some of the best O-line play Indy had seen since he arrived.
What's amazing here is how rapidly this relationship has deteriorated. It went from, in the offseason, the Colts wanting to re-sign Jonathan Taylor and him wanting to stay, to where somewhere along the way, something changed. I don't know whether it was the fact that he was on that call with other running backs or Jim Irsay inciting him with the comments that he made publicly about Jonathan Taylor and the running back position, but somewhere this relationship this summer went south. And it seems like it's irreparably broken right now, leaving us with a mess like Jack's diaper, Laura. That's essentially what we're talking about at this point in time.
But after consulting with Colts legend and Hall of Fame running back Edgerrin James, Taylor came back to the negotiating table, ultimately signing a 3-year, $42 million extension to stay in Indy.
When you're not healthy and you can't go out there and do what you love, I mean, it's tough. It pushes you and it puts you in tough positions mentally, and just being able to gather advice from someone who's done what you're trying to do, has walked that path, I think that was instrumental. And like I said, from day one, I always wanted to retire a Colt. So to be able to take another step towards that, it's amazing.
The holdout saw him miss 7 games in 2023, but in 2024, he looked closer to his best, earning his first Pro Bowl nod since that sophomore effort. But JT's 1,567 total yards and 12 touchdowns were overshadowed by other great running back seasons, and an underwhelming 8-9 Colts team spent most of the year far away from the national media spotlight. So once again, he was underappreciated. But 2025 was a different story, because this is a different version of Jonathan Taylor that we have never seen. Why? Well, for the first time in his career, he has an elite quarterback running the offense.
Danny Dimes could be in the MVP conversation. Jonathan Taylor's going to score 3 touchdowns a game. He's on pace to maybe have 4,000 touchdowns. They're talking about everything he's on pace for. The amount of tuds he has, combined like 4 other running backs that are all big-name running backs, and his dance is sick.
There's been some serious talent on this roster for years. The offensive line has been one of the top units in the league for the past few seasons, while the receiving corps still has Pittman Jr. leading the pack. But the complementary threats of Alec Pierce and Josh Downs really open up the passing attack, as does rookie tight end Tyler Warren. But the key piece in all of this is Daniel Jones. He's unlocked the full potential of this Colts offense, making them one of the very best in the league in 2025. By every statistic, these guys are elite, playing complementary football, the likes of which Indy hasn't seen in over a decade. For their opponents, this is a truly terrifying prospect, because this Colts offense has demonstrated a capacity for dominating literally anyone. By EPA per play, they are even more efficient than the historic 2013 Denver Broncos. Because if Indiana Jones isn't dealing dimes all over the field, JT is running through defenses, hitting home runs in almost every game. For a guy who was nearly traded because of positional value, this kind of performance is the perfect response to that lack of faith, especially in the penultimate year of his new deal. The rest of the NFL was able to handle an injury-battered JT who had been let down by the Colts organization in 2022 and 2023. But after a bounce back in 2024 and an Offensive Player of the Year caliber campaign in 2025, it's safe to say that this version of Jonathan Taylor is something the rest of the league never wants to see. Because, to quote Kevin Rogers,
There's no doubt we wouldn't want to play against that guy for the next 10 years.
But what do you think? Does it get better for Jonathan Taylor and his Colts? Let us know in the comments.